Seth with the Corn and Seth. How are you guys all doing today?
We're doing good.
We're doing great. Thanks for having us.
It's nice to meet all you. I loved your guys' movie. It was fantastic. I guess my first question for you guys is for you two. How did you two come up with this idea? I love how you kind of told this like time travel story, but the focus is on these like characters more and not being bogged down by all of the, insane concept. So it also helped hit much harder. So what kind of gave you this idea?
Yeah, I think one of our favorite sci-fi is the kind of sci-fi that takes the sci-fi elements and kind of keeps it at arm's length, right? Like, I think our North Star has always been the Terminator. And what's so great about that movie is, it's about AI and it's about time travel, and you can kind of get in the weeds with it if you want to, but at its core, it's really just a horror movie, right? It's an unstoppable force going after two characters, and it's about their interpersonal relationship. Mm-hmm. So that is something I think we're always reaching for in our movies, and this felt like the best opportunity to kind of do that, and then make our sister Sarah Connor, right? So that was the goal.
That's actually amazing you bring that up, because I definitely got that, and you were like Sarah Connor, and so Mia was kind of like the Terminator in this situation. It felt like. What was it like working with her? Because you guys had like incredible chemistry.
Honestly, it was very much like life was imitating art in so many moments during filming, where she really is that like. She's amazing. I love her so much. Stella Marcus, it's her first movie. And she's so like wise beyond her years, super talented. And she's 19. So she's at this age where she's still so brave. And you know what I mean? And free. And so getting...
Also, like, having fun.
Oh my gosh, we were doing
she's
this...
so not jaded, it was so lovely.
It was so refreshing, and it really worked for our characters. There's a scene where we're driving away from the car, and it's exploding, and I was feeling really tense, because we have one chance to get that right. You know what I mean? Yeah. One shot where they're gonna blow it up, and you're hoping it goes well, and I'm driving the truck. It's not automatically moving, like I have to put it into gear and I gotta move it, and Kevin's showing me like you're gonna go towards that big yellow truck because it's a cliff and we don't want you to go off the cliff, so that'll stop you if you keep going. I was like, oh my God. So I'm like stressing out, I'm feeling so nervous, and she's got her feet up on the dash, and we've got the walkie, so they're giving us, direction, and she's just like cracking up and doing jokes over the walkie, and I'm like, Stella. So it really was like easy to fall into those roles together. Yeah,
you guys were so good together, and it reminded me of Logan a lot. I know you brought up, which I absolutely loved, and I thought she like reminded me a lot of Daphne Keane, which I was like, this is actually super cool.
Yeah, dude, I love that movie.
Was there anything that you like learned from her that you can take on from future roles?
Honestly, yeah. She was such a calming presence for me. There's so much in this movie that was outside the box for me, doing all the stunt work and shooting the guns, and we were in that diner scene, and that was a really intense day for us. And I looked over at her. I was having like one of those actor moments where I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if this is playing right. I'm kind of freaking out. And she was like, everything you're doing is right, because that's exactly where she would be in this moment. I mean, she gave me incredible advice and just totally like put me right back to where I needed to be. So that's why I say like wise beyond her years, and just like such a welcome presence. We're so lucky in this film because she's amazing. Jeremy, like if you want a hype man on set, hire Jeremy Holm. Like he is just like, will build you up and support you. So I just feel like that was so lucky, and it's so necessary as an actor to feel like you're safe with the people you're playing with. And that's how we felt.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
And I guess for all of you, I mean, was there a moment on set that really stuck with you guys that that you can bring with you for future roles, or just something that like you knew that this was the right cast for this movie?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think there's something about, there are actors, I think, and then there are actors who are filmmakers. Mm-hmm. They're there to make the best thing they can possibly make, and they're willing to do whatever it takes. And the two of them and Stella are definitely filmmakers. And it's such an exciting thing when you're pushing for something, and normally I might not ask an actor to do something because I'm like, this is going to be pretty tough. Like, I'm not going to necessarily ask an actor to jump into this swamp filled with like prehistoric bullfrogs that I don't even want to look at, never mind like swim next to. Mm-hmm. But when it's your sister, you're like, you got to jump at the swamp. No, I mean,
Right?
yeah. But no, I mean, it's just, I think that's the thing, is when you find actors like that, you hold on to them as hard as you can. You just want to make everything with them, you know?
It's so cool. I mean, obviously you're all siblings, which is like the greatest thing ever. So what was it like, you three working together, and was there a moment like on set that kind of brought you guys closer together and helped you bond?
I mean, yeah, it's such a special thing. We've been making movies together since, you know, we were kids. I mean, I think our first movie, Kevin and I were 10 or 11 making it, you know? And so it's just such a delight being together and doing this stuff. And there was a moment where you get these flashbacks where you think about making movies back then, and you're like, oh my God, it's still happening, you know? And for me, that happened on the second day, and Michaela had a bear trap around her ankle, and she's being dragged across the grass.
I remember that.
And she's screaming bloody murder, and it's the same exact scream she had making our horror movies when we were kids.
Yeah.
And I was like, God, I love that scream, you know? And it just like brings you right back, you know? So it was just such a delight and pleasure to get to do it again.
That's awesome.
I wanna
Oh yeah,
add
please.
For me, the thing that I'll take away from shooting the film, aside from the film itself, which I'm so pleased with and so proud of, so proud to be in, it's so awesome to watch the love, the care, the wisdom, and the relationship that these three amazing human beings have. They have a shorthand in the way they communicate. They have a trust, but they're not afraid to challenge each other. And the brothers particularly are really good at challenging Michaela, who did these really physically difficult things over and over again in the middle of the night. Then the bear trap night is the night that I'm gonna remember, because you were a warrior. Like, we kept dragging you, and
wow.
that thing, it didn't look very comfortable to me. I mean, it was,
No.
Yeah.
No, wouldn't say.
but that the McManus family magic, it's pretty amazing.
That's so awesome.
And just really quickly,
Oh,
too,
please.
I want to add that I think, too, like, I love working with directors and collaborating, but when it's your brothers, it's like, it takes it to a whole other level of like, I can't let them down. Like, I can't. I've watched them cultivate this career. I've watched their passion just grow and bloom into this filmmaking, and I just cannot let them down. So that's a really unique relationship to have before you even start filming. It's pretty special.
That's so awesome. And I wanted to ask you, Jeremy, now. So your character in this movie obviously is a monster. So how do you get in?
Not so fast, sir.
He's got some nice qualities. So is there anything you do to like help get into this mindset, and like how do you decompress at the end of the day to like keep that away from affecting you?
You have to have kind of a split brain when you're doing this stuff. He's not a monster to himself. To himself, he's just trying to get through the day and do the things that make him happy, right? That's how we all get through the day. And he's got his little lizard, and he's got his job, you know, and he's got his hobbies, and he's got his collection. And he's just trying to expand his collection. He's an artist. He writes poetry, right, guys?
I'm loving this
He-
back lore.
He most certainly does.
Yeah.
The backstory.
And so that's part of your brain, how part of your brain has to approach it. He's just after the next endorphin buzz, right? But the other side of your brain, and it's particularly true of action and horror movies, is you're trying to take care of the people who hired you by being efficient, by being spot on artistically, by not wasting time, and by taking care of your castmates. You know, there's a lot of physical stuff. You got to make sure you don't hurt anybody. You know, if there's a car scene and you're driving, or if there's a gun battle or weapons, your job is to take care of them. So you have to be able to kind of switch that on and off. For me, it's music, it's preparation, and it's trust.
That's awesome.
If I could add one thing to that. Jeremy mentioned how Neville writes poetry, which we didn't know until Neville started sending us poetry. Jeremy started writing us poems and texting them to us, and they were so fucked up. We were like, I have to ask you to stop sending me these poems.
Taking method acting to a whole new level. So did each of you get a poem then?
Oh yeah, I think we have several. Yeah.
Did you get any of them? We'll send them to you. That'll keep you up at night.
Maybe not.
Those were private.
Private poems. So I know I overheard you guys said you all watched the movie last night. So was there, watching it back now, is there a favorite moment in the movie that really stuck with you, or something that just scared the living crap out of you? Because I heard a couple of you screamed.
I mean, for me, I think one of my favorite moments in the whole movie, and it's a bit of a spoiler, but it's when, Irene sees Anna, and she has this incredibly emotional moment. And Michaela was so dialed in. We didn't have a whole lot of time for that scene. And so we were doing takes, but the idea was, we'll do a take, we're not going to call cut, and then Michaela's going to just go back to the one, thanks. Is that what it's called? Yeah. No, so it goes back to one and then starts again, just so she could kind of still be in that zone. And the second take, it was just dynamite. And everybody's just, the whole crew is watching, rapt, just like, oh my God, we're so plugged in. And as we're watching this shot, we're like, yeah, keep going. And then a security guard walked across the back of the screen. And everyone's like, no, and then she does it again. And the next one is good, but we're like, but the second one was magic, And so we're like, oh, what are we gonna do? And so we watch playback and we're like, we're just gonna have to VFX this fucker out. And so that's what we did. And so it's
awesome.
the second take.
Really?
Yeah.
What about you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna piggyback on that. That was my favorite scene, and definitely, I think probably my most challenging scene because of the amount of time, and it was the culmination of so much time searching for my daughter and then finding her. Yeah, I could get choked up even just thinking about it now because it's really an intense moment. But again, it goes back to the trust and feeling safe, and that's how that worked out.
That's so awesome.
My favorite day, and it's in a couple of the scenes, was the kill room day, because I got to be killed by Irene many times that day, and we just had to work fast, right? And it was just everybody in the room pitching in. The makeup artist, Kevin, was with us in that room because Matt was directing another scene because we were split, and Michaela would go back and forth between the other scenes and then come in and kill me a different way, but it was the epitome of collaboration because we are working fast, making good decisions, and moving on. That was a fun day. Yeah.
I think my favorite thing from last night was similarly that scene with Irene and Anna is so emotional, but it's my favorite transition in the whole movie. And it was when our editor put it together. Right after that moment, she's driving in her car and she's a mess, and you're like, and I'm watching my sister break down. So for me, it's always going to hit me, right? And it hurts as we're watching her drive away. And then there's this transition where it cuts to Jeremy pulling down that shower curtain. And every time, like, oh man, it's gonna get fucking bad. Yeah. And it's just like watching you just kind of like really, we finally get to see your perspective, or Neville's perspective. And there's something about that where it gets so dark so fast. And I just, every time it makes me giddy every time I see that transition.
By dark, you mean successful.
Yeah. He's finally getting his happiness and claiming what he needs in his life.
I mean, obviously, like, right? And as brothers, is it like hard watching everything unfold to your sister on the screen? Like, how do you cope with all of that?
I think Michaela put it best. We had added a couple extra things to the ending. We're like, what if there's that moment, which is another spoiler, but the moment where the fingernail comes off. We were like, instead of, because I think before it was going to be like, he flipped her fingers just back a little bit, or cut her or something like that, or just peeled up her fingers. And we're like, how can we just dial it up a little bit further? And then talk to our makeup guy. We're like, can we take a fingernail off? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. So that went into the script. And the day we were shooting that, Michaela texted us. She said, did I do something to you when I was a child to deserve all this? The amount of torture I'm getting on this one, like some kind of payback. The long game payback was to, yeah. So yeah, it was brutal, but it was also, I don't know, it was pretty fun too, I'll be honest.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have brothers, right? They always pick on you. How did you come up with the design of the time machine? Because I thought it was awesome.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was such a fun one. We, it's always the dream to build your own sci-fi, machine. So there's obviously the inspiration is coming from the DeLorean, and it's coming from Star Wars, and wanting to make something that felt like it had a lot of miles on it. But it's hard to describe when you don't really design these things yourselves, right? So we're kind of drawing pictures that aren't quite coming out right. So what we ended up doing is we got some balsa wood, and I literally cut some balsa wood up and used a hot glue gun, and we built a little multiverse machine with a little furniture dolly on the back of it. We showed that to our production designer, like something like this, and he goes, "Well, that's pretty much it. Okay, I think we can do that." And then they designed it all in 3D modeling, and it's exactly the 3D model is what we got at the end of it. But yeah, Charlie Textro, who's our production designer, and Dudro put that together, and they crushed it. I mean, I'll never let go of that thing.
Yeah, Kevin still has that little balsa wood model just sitting on his shelf, and it looks great. Honestly, when he showed that to me, it was like, yeah, that's gonna be sick. You know?
It's so cool. I loved like all the details too, with like exploding when it like left the one period going to the next. I thought that was so cool.
Cool, thanks.
What was it like working with Jim? Because he's kind of like this true indie darling here. And did he kind of give you guys any advice for future filmmaking? Any tips or tricks that he gave you some insight to?
Yeah, Jim's the best. He's just such a joy to work with. We're old pals with Jim. You know, we went to college together, and he was in some of our movies back then.
Yeah, the movie we made, Michaela was in a movie with Jim.
That's
then.
right.
Oh, that's so
It's
awesome.
called Blackout Drunk. Michaela played a cop, and Jim played the drunk.
It was basically Memento for a guy who's shit-faced. Was
That's
the idea.
insane.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Sign me up.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But no, so yeah, Jim's the best, and so we asked him to come in and help us out on that day, and he's just so fun to watch, and he always takes the words and makes them his own, and makes them he's just terrific, and he's just such a lovely guy to be around. And I think the thing that I love most about Jim is how much he gives back to the filmmaking community and how much he lifts other people up. And you're always running into people who are like, oh yeah, Jim told me to do this, and so I'm gonna, and it's just great because when you're making indie film, lots of times it can feel like you're on your own, and he makes people feel very much part of a community, and I think that's the best part about him.
That's awesome. Yeah, Jim's great. I met him through Francis Galupia, and he told me to tell you guys hello.
Oh, that's so good, man. I love Francis.
Which was really cool. And he was like, yeah, you're going to love talking to them. I'm like, I can't wait. So,
That's awesome.
but yeah, Jim's great. Is there something that you want people to know about this movie before going into it? Something you really want them to take away?
Oh,
Each of you?
interesting. Yeah, do you guys want to start? Or well, I'll start. I'll let you guys think about it for a while. I honestly, for me, I love going to movies where I don't know anything going into them. I don't even want to watch a trailer. I just hear like, oh, that's got good reviews and it's a horror flick. I'm like, fucking just sign me up, And so I always love that. I think the takeaway for us is like, of course, on the one hand, you want this to be, a morality tale about the perils of revenge. You want to have it, affect you. But also, I think Kevin and I just want to make movies that are fun and make movies that you leave and you think, damn, I love going to the movies, So that's always first and foremost is like, let's make sure it's entertaining. Let's make sure it's a ride. And then hopefully we've got all that heart in there as well. So for us, that's the big thing.
Yeah, I am drawn to human character dramas. That's what I like to work in that world, and that's what I like to watch. So if somebody says, oh, I want you to see the sci-fi thriller, I don't know that I would be like immediately like, yeah, let me get into that. And so what I think my brothers do so well is they don't get hung up on all the minutia, and you don't get bogged down by all of that, because I'm always like questioning like, oh, is it going to be like one of those mind warps where I'm pausing the movie and asking, the person I'm watching with, what's going on? It's not like that. So it's easy to follow. So, but it is a sci-fi thriller, but it also has all that human, grounded relationship, those characters that I love to watch. So I think it kind of has a little bit of something for everyone. So that's what I would want people to know before going in.
Definitely does. I definitely got that.
Good.
I just want people to remember that serial killers are people too.
I love your answers.
My manager's over there like,
We'll cut it out. Don't worry.
It's always been a soapbox,
It's so good. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think Matt summed it up perfectly.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what we're hoping to come across. Yeah.
That's awesome. And last question I have for you guys. So I use movies as a way to connect with people. I think it helps bridge the gap and really introduce people to know who you are as a person. So what's one movie that each of you always recommend to somebody?
I mean, there's so many. In particular, I think lately, I don't know, the movie I can watch over and over and over again is the original Terminator. That's the North Star for us. I mean, there's a million movies that I'd recommend to anyone. But if someone was like, I've never seen a movie before, what should I do? I'm like, you should absolutely start there. Just start at the top and then move on from there.
I think another one for me is Blue Ruin is just such a phenomenal film, and the way Jeremy Saulnier shows the process of this guy, and you've got to be kind of along for the ride, and discovering it with him is so exciting. And it was definitely an inspiration when we were doing Redux Redux. The first 10 minutes, you're like, I want the audience to be. I don't want them to ever feel like completely lost. I want them to just be like plugged in and figuring it out, and then get rewarded, 10 minutes in to go, okay, that's what we're watching, And I think he does that so well, and that movie just rips. It's so good.
It's awesome.
I can't wait to hear what this answer is. I'm so excited.
Really? Well, Jaws, yeah, obsessed with the Jaws movies, but
They're all so good. I love shark movies. I'm a sucker for them.
Same,
Yes.
same. No, but for me, when I was a teenager and Good Will Hunting came out, that was a movie that really lit me up and really got me interested in doing this for real, for real. And it was these guys from Boston, us growing up in Rhode Island, it felt like we were so far from Hollywood. And so hearing that story, these guys who were so involved with that movie, and it's just such a touching film. I loved the performances. I loved the story. That I always go back to Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting can't escape me. I was playing Pictionary with my friends who I'm staying with, and I tried to act out what Good Will Hunting was, and it's been following me because I saw Matt Damon last night at The Accountant too, and I'm just like, I failed miserably, so like, you should tell Matt Damon about your Pictionary skills. And now you brought it up, I'm like, it's gonna follow me forever now.
Similarly, my answer is roots back to my childhood. I'm from Colorado. I grew up in the mountains. I'm a mountain boy. And Jeremiah Johnson was one of the first movies I ever saw, and it was terrifying. But somehow it made an impression on me, and I to this day I carry that movie and those performances with me.
That's awesome.
That's my movie.
Mm-hmm.
They're all great movies. Well, thank you guys for all of your time today. Congrats on this movie. That was amazing. I loved it so much, and I can't wait for everyone to check this thing out.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you guys.